some comments here from you guys live on YouTube and on Facebook. Little Cheese says, do you think the Cowboys make a move for Justin Houston? I would like them to. Not sure they're actually going to. That typically isn't the Cowboys' MO. I'll throw out a different name here. A little bit younger, hopefully a little bit cheaper potentially, and more of a long-term fit. Maybe Shaq Barrett. I mentioned it on an earlier show. He remains unsigned. I'd like that quite a bit. Francisco Ramirez says, hashtag free agency, or FA. Thank you very much. I think the Cowboys should get Blake B as a backup for Dak. You guys know I'm not a big fan of Cooper Rush. I think I might prefer Cooper Rush over Blake Bortles. He's not very good. All right, Mitchell says, Kevin White. Interesting name there. Low risk, high reward would be an outside guy. I target more of the, slot receiver type, but in terms of upside there, that's what we call the Will McClay special. Signing a former high round pick who maybe turns things around in the end. Rob X Pro says, signing CJ Anderson, heard the Cowboys had interest. I haven't heard much of that. Maybe there's some level of interest, but for Anderson, he proved he wants to be a featured back and still be. He's not going to get that chance in Dallas. If Dallas signs a back, it's not going to be one of the bigger names because they can get more money and more playing time elsewhere. Troy says, sign Henry Anderson. My fear about Henry Anderson is that when he has left a 3-4 scheme, he's not as good. Had a good year for the Jets, he might re-sign since they're going to stick with a hybrid 3-4 scheme. But I don't know if Anderson actually makes a bunch of sense for the Cowboys in a 4-3 scheme because he hasn't had that much success. If he wants to try it on a cheap one-year deal, I am intrigued. He did have a good 2018 season. Carter Zapp says, what about Duke Johnson? Hashtag FA. Of course, Duke Johnson would be a trade target there. Again, we haven't heard much of late about Duke Johnson. The Cowboys, I think, have some level of interest, but I'm also not convinced the Browns have a ton of interest in trading away Duke Johnson, a really good running back who's almost a slot receiver. They signed Kareem Hunt. We don't know how long his suspension is going to be. Timing might not quite be right now for Duke Johnson. Jonas asks, what do you think would happen if the Cowboys offered $12 million and the Niners offered $13 million? I think ET would take more money. It depends on how the deal is structured, who gives him maybe more guaranteed money. But I kind of think that he picked the Niners deal. By the way, I'm actually not sure the Cowboys are going to go up to $12 million. I am not sure that's going to be within their budget. D. Malloy 26 says, will the depth in the safety market for free agency make some of the top prospects fall? Let's say Adderley, Abram, Rapp, or Thornhill. If I had to bet, I think maybe one of those guys is on the board. And it's a good question, and it's funny how this often works out. The deep free agency classes often have deep draft classes. There will be a good safety on the board at number 58, which is maybe why the Cowboys don't feel the urgency to go out and sign a big money deal for a safety. Adam Ward says, why not bring back Rod Smith? There's some level of interest there, but the Cowboys, I think, want to find an upgrade. Now, maybe they'll sign someone, maybe they'll draft somebody, but I think the Cowboys are trying to upgrade Rod Smith. He's a fine player, but he's nothing special. I know Flores says, sign Suh. Maybe. I think Suh wants to stay on the West Coast. And in the end, I think his price tag might be a little bit too high for what the Cowboys are willing to pay. Gabriel Rodriguez says, sign Ajayi. Well, the Cowboys do love their Boise State players. It's a logical fit there. Now, I think he, again, might want a bigger role than the Cowboys are willing to offer, but it makes some sense. Carter Zapp with another one here says, what about Golden Tate to replace Cole Beasley? I'm intrigued. You guys know that I like Cole Beasley, but I would venture to say that Golden Tate's going to get as much, if not more, than Cole Beasley. If Golden Tate wants to come on the 3-year, $18 million deal the Cowboys offered Cole, sign me up. Not sure he's going to, though, in the end. Little Cheese asks if Drew asks to sign Shane Ray. I want the other Denver linebacker. I want Shaq Barrett. Now, I am open to Shane Ray, but he was the 4th best edge rusher on the Denver Broncos. I'd rather have the 3rd best instead. From longtime watcher Matt S., does Bruce Irvin make sense? There is that Chris Richard connection. I kind of think he's going to re-up in Atlanta, but if he wants to come cheap, I think it makes a lot of sense. You bring him in, he can be your Randy Gregory type of player as an edge rusher who mostly plays on passing downs. Milky Films Gaming, is Dez going to come back? What do you think? I mean, I guess there's a chance, but I'd be pretty surprised. I don't think you're going to see Dez Bryant back with the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, Linehan's gone, but it'd be a pretty long shot there. Mitchell asking about a Ty Montgomery trade wouldn't be a trade. It would be a free agency signing. Montgomery's deal is up with the Baltimore Ravens, and I think he actually makes quite a bit of sense. Not necessarily today or tomorrow, but down the road in free agency, once the other top backs sign, I think Ty Montgomery makes a lot of sense for the Cowboys. Fits what the Cowboys want in a backup running back right now. Little bit more of a dynamic back out of the passing. Remember, he used to be a receiver, and he also offers return value. Joey Fleming, who is a realistic name we can sign this week. I think Earl Thomas is some level of realistic. I would like someone like Shaq Barrett, but we just mentioned Ty Montgomery. I think he makes a lot of sense. I think a name like maybe Deion Jordan, who has some ties to Chris Richard and fits the Will McClay mold of a former high-round draft pick, could make some sense there. Adam Ward, are there any good cornerbacks left? Could move Awuzie to safety. I think it makes a lot more sense to draft a corner early and then move Awuzie. It's not a good corner class. None that actually even fit the Chris Richard mold. Ronald Darby's a little on the small side. It's not a good corner class, so I don't think that's the play here for the Cowboys. Manster54 asks about Jalen Hurd, the Baylor receiver in the draft. He could be a late round option, but he's not a running back. That's not who he is anymore. If you want to take him round 6, round 7, sure. There are better receivers, though, that are going to be on the board. I know they didn't play for Baylor or Texas, but there are better prospects out there. Arturo Sandoval Jr., Cole Beasley's gone. Are we going to go for slot receiver first, then safety? The Cowboys don't have to go receiver right now because they have Allen Hurns, who can be your slot, who's going to make what they offered Cole Beasley. It's silly, I know. They could re-sign Tavon Austin as well. So you could go slot receiver, but you don't have to go. I think it depends on who is actually on the board. They're setting themselves up to not target one particular position, but to instead set yourself up to where you don't have to take one spot. You can go several different directions there, and that makes more success in the end for the drafting. The smart teams fill the big holes with some type of player and then draft a best player available that also fills somewhat of a need. Plant says Adam Humphries, well, he's off the board. He's already signed with the Tennessee Titans on a bigger deal than what Cole Beasley got. Sean Blazenwolf asked if will Dallas sign anyone. Of course they will. It might not be today. And oh, by the way, technically speaking, they have signed somebody. Cody McElroy, who, I will not lie to you guys, no idea who this is before he signed. But he's 26 years old, played minor league baseball and college basketball, so he's like a better version of Rico Gathers. I'm kidding, of course. He's maybe going to make the roster, probably not. He's a long shot at best. But in terms of actual players you've heard of, they'll sign some guys later on in Tier 2, Tier 3, as they typically do. Andrew Du, speaking of, with Green Bay signing Amos, do you think HaHa could be in our market and fit our system? Well, it's really the Redskins signing Landon Collins, because that's where Clinton-Dix played for most recently. I think he could be. There's going to be, I think, a solid safety that could make some sense. Maybe Clinton-Dix is that route there, although he's pretty inconsistent. I'm not sure how the Cowboys actually feel about it. From JB97, is Barry Church available? Yes, he is, but he was also available for a good portion of last season, and the Cowboys didn't pick him up. He's not the same Barry Church we saw in Dallas, and he got paid by the Jags. Oh, look, Mitchell Renz. How many beers could you drink in 6 minutes? Not that many. Too much carbonation. Mitch, by the way, did 6 in 6 minutes on the Oakland Raiders report. I'll put my over-under at 3.5. And I think that even that might be pushing it in the end. But if it's Natty, the smooth Pilsner, maybe I got a chance there in the end. So thank you for that comment there, Mitchell. Very, very funny there. All right, again, folks, Cole Beasley has gone to the Buffalo Bills. Oh, how long would it take you to drink 6 beers? I don't know. I'll be honest, I worry about puking in the end. Like, that's the big concern for me there. I honestly don't know how long it would take me. But again, keep the comments flowing here, folks, with free agency. Gabriel Rodriguez, Edgar Barajas says, TJ Yeldon. That's an option. Now, I think he wants a bigger role, but if he doesn't find it, maybe a cheap 1-year deal. makes a lot of sense there in the end for the Dallas Cowboys. I think Yeldon and also Corey Grant makes some sense. No to this next one. I don't even want to bring it up. 0 stars. Fake news. It will never happen. The Cowboys are not going to throw $12, $13 million at Bell. If they were going to do that, they'd throw it at Earl Thomas. Le'Veon Bell is never coming to the Cowboys this offseason. They have 0 interest in him. You want to put Lev Bell, who just wants the ball and wants to be paid, in the backfield with Zeke Elliott? Nah, it's not going to make sense. Go trade for Duke Johnson instead if you want a far cheaper player who, for the role they'd play, would produce pretty similarly for the Dallas Cowboys. It doesn't make sense at all to bring in Le'Veon Bell. All right, folks, we're going to put this on loop for you guys. I'll be in the comment section as well talking about the Cowboys, and stay tuned. Once Earl Thomas signs, wherever that is, we'll keep you updated here on Chat Sports. Hey Cowboys fans, thanks for watching the Cowboys Report. If you haven't already, click right here to subscribe to our channel for all the best Cowboys coverage on the internet. That's news, rumors, highlights, mailbags, film studies, and a whole lot more. And I'm making your lives a little bit easier as well with the next Cowboys Report video right here.